In the years ahead, perhaps no two themes will dominate the investment landscape like the energy transition and digital transformation. Both will have profound implications for industry, geopolitics, and how we live on planet Earth. Schneider Electric now sits at the center of both these themes, combining energy technologies, real-time automation, and software and services to make our world more efficient and sustainable. Chairman and CEO Jean-Pascal Tricoire has played no small role in positioning the France-based company to help create a more electrical world. I wanted to hear how Mr. Tricoire, who became CEO in 2006, thinks about this global transformation and how he has reimagined his own company in the process. So I invited him to Morgan Stanley's European headquarters in London. Jean-Pascal, first of all, thank you very much indeed for coming.
Well, thank you for having me.
If I look back and over the years, you were talking about energy efficiency, the way that buildings are operated and managed 15, 20 years ago. So what is it about your background or just you as a person where you became really interested?
I think it's not a personal mission, it's a collective mission for the whole of Schneider and people who joined us. For me, more personally, it comes probably from my long stint in emerging countries, but also when I was taking care of international, of Africa, of India, and on many other places where two things. Energy is definitely your passport to a decent life, so it's a fundamental human right. The sheer realization that the way we produce and consume energy is absolutely unsustainable. And there is a way to reinvent, we deal with energy. But that convergence of the duty that we have to bring back our planet to a net zero trajectory, reconcile progress on sustainability for all, using cutting edge technology, the strong conviction for many people in the world now, and certainly everybody at Schneider.
You've described 2022 as the pivotal moment for sustainability, for transition. What is it about what you see in the world right now that gives you that conviction?
In 2019, investors really changing their attitude to companies and saying, we want to hold you accountable, not only on your financials, and you see thousands of companies embarking on net zero commitments. Then you've got the COVID time, which is fast forwarding probably an average of 5 years, digitization in any place, your personal life as well as your professional life. And then as those two things combine together and accelerating, that comes a massive energy crisis provoked by the war in Europe, energy prices to the roof, which makes that every investment in efficiency or decarbonization has a very short payback. There are rare moments in history where mid-term objective of carbon neutrality meet short-term objective of energy urgency at a time where technologies, clean electrification, digitization, and software as a whole are converging together to offer solutions. And this is what we are experiencing in 2022.
Some people find it hard to conceptualize or to understand exactly what it is that Schneider does. If we think about a building like the one we're in now, what can and what does Schneider do in the environment that we're in right now?
Do you remember a car before the first oil shock in 1973? Mm-hmm. It was a gas guzzler. Yep. You had to pray for the car to start in the morning. It was stopping, it had breakdowns, it had no integrated music, no integrated GPS, not integrated. This is pretty much where a building is today. And while it is a major culprit for carbon emission, around 35%. So the building where we are today, 15 years ago, what was Schneider doing here? An electrical panel. So distributing big electrons from the grid into every usage of the building. What we've done over the past 15 years is to make that panel intelligent and to manage the efficiency of the building. So everything gets connected. And suddenly also you connect many elements and many sensors in the building. And we used to be just cornered in our panel, and now we are expanding our presence in the whole building. And from all the information that we receive, presence of people, quality of the air outside, exposure to the outside, we're going to start automating the management of energy. Energy consumption is minimized and comfort is maximized. In the next coming years, and it has already started, it will know two major transitions. You're going to recharge your car in the basement while you are working. And on the top of it, the heating system that was working on gas and fuel will transition to electricity. That transition will happen in almost all buildings in the world in the next coming years. And then think about this building, which is just guzzling energy from the grid. You've got a roof there and you've got windows where there is a possibility of clean electricity generation. So what we see in a number of buildings is a capacity to integrate to the electrical system your own generation. And already using digital, your consumption can be lowered a lot. In average in Europe, 40%. On the latest buildings we did for ourselves, divided by 8. It's reducing to nothing, right, in terms of energy consumption. And then using your roof, you can produce electricity. On the latest building we equipped at Schneider, we can power 200 houses.
Schneider is doing a lot more than just buildings. That's only one of your end markets or applications. So just tell us of how you play in areas like data center, but also in the industrial automation sphere.
Yeah, so when you look at the other application of our technology, data center is a fascinating place because everything we do today is digital. It's one of the places which is the most demanding because you need to be completely pure and reliable to supply electricity to those very sensitive technologies. And this is a place where we can bring the most added value in terms of energy control and energy monitoring. And moving on to industry, clearly industry and infrastructure are facing today all over the world a massive energy issue. If you want to save on energy, you have to change the characteristics of your process. So the whole obsession or fixation that we have had in industry is to converge energy and process automation or automation into one set of data and bring a complete set of software so that really our customers could digitize their installation. Today, you can 3D your plant with Schneider technology. You can use that 3D model to drive the whole construction of the plant. And then you can use the same 3D model to drive the operations of your plant. You can train your operators with virtual reality on the shop floor in any of your factories in the world. Less than 10% of the buildings are digitized today. When I say 10, it's an optimistic view. It's more less than 5% of the buildings are automated. But that digitization of the physical world is the episode 2 of the internet. And we are in that phase just at the beginning, like we were at the beginning of the internet of people at the beginning of the 90s.
Yeah, if we go back to the early 2000s, that portfolio has been built via a lot of M&A, moves into different platforms, etc. What made you and your team decide we are going to go in this direction, and what would you do differently on that M&A trajectory?
The way we are managing the whole equation of resource and energy was inadequate and unsustainable. And we had the vision, and I still have that vision, that we need to be infinitely more efficient in everything we do. And when you say infinity, that means we have to be radically, that means you have to take step changes in the way to approach it. And what step changes everything is digitization. That is today still the major revolution happening in the field of the physical world. Everything in the ecosystem interconnected. For the first time in our history, from the power plant to the plug, everything is connected and you can optimize at scale, right? And do things in a completely different manner. So For our 4 markets, in a pretty opinionated manner, we built one platform for building, one platform for data centers, one platform for industry, and one platform for the grid and infrastructure. And once we had that, we realized that we were taking out or extracting a lot of data for our customers, and actually we were the custodian of that data, but they wanted to make sense of it. So this is when we started to develop our portfolio of software, which is now a large part of our business. To do all that journey, we did acquisitions. So what have we learned? The first one is really people and culture, because some weddings are just impossible. The second one is strategy, and the third one is technology. You can always correct an operational problem in a company. You just need better operators. But you can never correct a strategic mistakes or technology mistakes. So you have to spend a lot of time on that magic equation of people, strategy, and technology. If I would go one step further, I think it's always better to buy an underperforming company because it has been overinvested than an overperforming company because it has been underinvested.
You've been talking about that geographic regional balance. So how is Schneider positioned around the world?
So we've globalized and internationalized at very fast pace over the past 20 years. So we can say we are probably one of the most global companies, and we've done that repositioning at very fast pace. And it was all due to the fact that we really created the right environment for local teams to develop extremely fast.
It was quite radical at the time. Back in 2011, you certainly moved yourself to Hong Kong. What were you thinking at that time?
At that time, we had already a well-developed position in North America and a well-developed position in Europe. We needed to go faster in Asia. It's 60% of the world population, today 50% of the GDP, fastest growing cities, industry, digital centers, people going straight from no telephone to mobile phones, straight at the forefront of 5G. Today, Asia is actually our largest region. And my vision is that the more we go, the more the world will have to operate as a network of partners.
If you had to give your younger self some advice, what would that advice be?
I would say spend even more time on people, but I would spend even more time on selecting the right people, on coaching them. I hear people saying a company is a family. No, it's not a family, it's a sports team. And my role as a coach is to give a clear direction, but then leave the people operate and make sure that the teams that we build are complementary and that we put the right profile in the right position. I'm very proud of the culture we've created at Schneider, the people we have assembled, and the model which is quite original of operation that we've put together.
What a nice way to end our discussion. Jean-Pascal, thank you very much indeed for sharing your thoughts. Really appreciate it.
And thank you very much. Always a pleasure, and especially in person.
Exactly. It's better in person, right?